chug, 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 chug,
Welcome back to the Wizard Staff. I'm your host, Guy.
And I'm Blake.
And we are the Wizard Staff, two drunk novices who like to talk about EDH. We drink and swear, so you've been warned. Please drink responsibly when you're playing children's card games. Today we have another very special episode, a very special guest. It's kind of been a tradition now that we have a guest every 5 episodes. Blake, why don't you introduce our guest?
Okay, so as you know, we've had my friend Dylan on the podcast, and I wanted to introduce another one of my friends, Park.
What's good?
Yeah, so mentioned you a couple times. I promise I haven't really trash talked you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I promise. It's all good things. I really do think that like you and Dylan are like some of the most intelligent people I've met in terms of like making decks.
What a sweetheart.
Oh, don't make me regret saying those words, okay?
Oh, already you do.
I shouldn't. This is why I don't compliment you ever. Yeah, so this is my friend Park, and I decided to like ask him if he'd come on today to talk about STAX. That's what the topic of the episode's for. Before we talk about STAX, though, Guy and I want to ask you like a few questions just so like anyone listening kind of knows, like, just give you a little introduction.
Hit me with it.
Okay, so that's the first question. So what's our first question for you? Yeah, how long have you been playing Commander?
It's been a few years. I'd say at least like 3 years, but I've played a lot of card games. Like at least 3 that I've gone super competitively in. So Magic's the third, and I picked it up, I think, somewhat easily. I kind of just knew how the mechanics worked, and overall, it clicks with me. EDH is definitely the best.
Your format of choice.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, wow.
Who wants to play Modern? It's just boring.
Was one of those card games that you played Yu-Gi-Oh?
You know it was.
So, like, so, like, Dylan got, like, Guy, or he got me, and, like, real short after, like, you kind of got into it. Like, maybe, like, a month, I'd say. Because you were a little bit more hesitant, I think, than I was to transition into it.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty competitively for a couple months, and then after I kind of got all the mechanics down, all this, like, super fast-paced gameplay, I kind of wanted to transition it into EDH somehow. Mm-hmm. So I was always a bit try-hard, as people say. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your definition of fun when it comes to Commander?
Well, for me, fun is just changing how people view the game, like how they want to approach the game. For a lot of people, they just want to play their same linear decks over and over, and that's really boring to me. I would much rather play decks that make people change how they play or force them to change how they play. And that, to me, is a lot more interesting than playing the same deck over and over in the same style over and over. Where's the fun in that? Come on.
What would you say is, like, your favorite card? Or, like, I know some people can't choose a favorite card. Like, what's your favorite, like, set of cards?
Favorite card is honestly a tough one. I'd say... Oh, God. Probably Paradox Engine. Everybody hates it. Yeah. It's a build-around card that actually can do things. Mm-hmm. Instead of just being a build-around card that does something like super linear every time. Paradox Engine at least lets you open up a ton of new things. And as far as build-around cards go, it's the best. Pretty much.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Like, it alone doesn't do anything, but when it's like paired with a bunch of other cards.
It alone does nothing.
Yeah.
Come on.
But when you have all the good shit around it.
For sure.
Yeah.
How many decks have you built?
6 so far.
Do you think that they kind of have a common theme, or are they each different?
They're all pretty different. Every deck that I make, I want it to be different. The thing that I avoid above all else is good stuff. Good stuff decks being just like, it just wants to generate value and eventually win through something. Something just like battle damage or just some generic like Craterhoof Behemoth bullshit. No one likes that. I mean,
I just bought that.
Craterhoof is fine, but I personally avoid it like the plague.
That's fine.
My decks. Let's see. What do I have?
Yeah, you don't even have Craterfoot in math.
No, why would I run that?
Yeah, I mean I know why, but it's like a lot of people still put it in there.
My first deck was Omnath, Locus of Rage, because I don't know, that just appealed to me. My favorite thing is burn damage. I think burn damage should become a lot more prevalent in EDH. Having 40 health doesn't mean anything if you can kill everyone at the same time. It's true.
Yeah. It's like the one... Well, there's a couple. It's like one time that I fear burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Omnath, after that, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. Well, actually, no, it's a Great Distortion, but I'm changing it to Butcher of Truth. Because colorless is interesting, it does something a little bit different, kind of combo-y, and that one wins usually through locking people out from playing the game.
Yeah. So that's kind of like half the reason we brought you on this episode.
You know it. After that, we've got Zada Hedron Grider, which is a really weird, janky combo deck that plays differently every single time. Because you're just kind of YOLOing it. How many cards can you draw that will draw you into something that maybe works? And that's why it's fun. Because all of a sudden hitting people from a board that started with like 6 1/1s and a 3/3 into like a dozen and a half, like 50/50s is interesting.
Like, just attack with a dozen 50/50s. It's fine.
Yeah. People don't expect it.
No.
Then you take an extra turn, and then you die at the end of that next turn. That's the risk I want to take.
Yeah.
Let's see. After that, we've got Baral, Chief of Compliance, because I don't like people having fun. I want people to suffer when they play. Not suffer. It changes how they play. It's all my in-game. People, for some reason, think that I've got, like, 8 counter spells in hand at all times, so they have to really be, like, thinking when they play cards.
Yeah.
I love when people don't have fun.
I know you
See,
see.
I told you to. You're gonna get along. This
is going to be a real good episode.
Yeah.
For 2 of us.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. This is what I'm used to.
After that, I made a Toshiro deck, and Toshiro, it's super gimmicky, and I'm changing that to a Chainer deck, because Chainer Dimension Master is probably one of my favorite commanders.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Oh.
because using life as a resource is one of my favorite just aspects of Commander, and Black utilizes that to a T, and that entire deck is going to be me killing myself just so I can fuck everyone over. And it's going to be a little staxy, give or take, probably more than a little.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we've got Pure Rorikthar STAX. It's pseudo-competitive. It's designed to compete and really just, have a lot of fun. Mass Land Destruction is great.
Yeah. So, can you tell us, like, in your personal experience, can you tell us, like, a good EDH story or, like, one that really sticks out to you from EDH?
Yeah. One of the first concepts for EDH decks I came up with was a Kozilek colorless deck. God, I'm slurring already.
We drank a bit before this episode, guys.
More than a bit.
Yeah.
Colorless decks are interesting because they're not super prevalent, and a lot of them just stick to the same theme, just big Eldrazi's, and maybe you'll do something interesting. Mine's closer to a Karn deck than a usual Kozilek deck. But the entire deck's win con, or most of its win con, is about locking people out from playing.
Okay.
And it really changes how people have to approach the deck. I fully expect the deck to play 1v3. So many times when I play my Kozilek deck, people just focus the absolute shit out of me.
I'm part of the problem.
Oh, you absolutely are. You are the biggest problem because you tell everyone, hey, this deck can stop you from playing. You're great, Blake.
Yeah, I'm the best friend to play with. Yeah.
But one of the most interesting times is just remembering all the times, especially this one, where people have just completely focused me. Over their 3 turns, they have to focus everything, work together, and 3v1 versus my deck, because my deck has a disgusting Nevinral lock, that will stop people from playing and then untap it at the end of the turn. And everyone just has to work their hardest to make sure that I don't get back to my turn, which will completely lock them out of the game no matter what. And then it's just 3 people focusing me, 3 people just saying like, counterspell this, counterspell that, counterspell that, remove this. Everything has to work against this one person playing a weird colorless deck. And then all of a sudden, they're working together, they're doing something different, and regardless of whether I lose or not, and this one particular game I'm thinking about, I had a, what is it? Soul of New Phyrexia.
Yeah, Soul.
Soul of New Phyrexia, plus a Never Roll Lock, and then a dozen different ways to copy it. People were just destroying everything I had, exiling I had, just trying to stop me from being able to play every single effect that I had. And it was interesting. I got to sit back and try to figure out the most optimal way to stop people from interacting with my stuff. And they had to do everything they could to stop me from playing my cards. And that alone just made it a really interesting game that, despite it being over like a year or 2 old, I still remember.
You still remember it after all that time. It's always fun to be the arch enemy sometimes.
And despite another deck, another game, a 6-man commander game where I played Moral Chief Compliance, all about making sure people don't get to play their decks.
Yeah.
I still managed to win that one.
Yeah, even though 6 players?
Oh yeah, I beat all 6. Or I'll beat all other 5. I had a person playing Mill, and they thought they were so clever just trying to send all of my cards to the graveyard. And then I hit them with it's like a Depth from Below. It summons 2/2 zombies for every instant sorcery in my graveyard. And I copied it, and he had milled me quite a bit, at least like 20 or 30 cards. And I summoned at least like 40 zombies from it. So I thanked him quite a bit, and I killed 3 people off one turn, counterspell everyone who came around after that, and kill everyone else. Burl's a fun deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that says a lot, just like playing a control deck in 6 players and winning.
I want to see what happened.
Yeah, and Mill can definitely backfire. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right.
Do you have any embarrassing stories about Blake?
God damn it.
Oh, I've got quite a lot.
Save it,
Wait,
save
yeah.
it for just one. Save it for just one.
No, I'm gonna hold back on it because that's a little too much for a little Blakey Blake.
Fragile boy.
They're a little too mean for an EDH podcast.
Last time when we had Dylan, I learned
I got your
that
back.
Blake's like a huge kleptomaniac and he likes to steal beer from people.
Only when I get really drunk.
I'll confirm it.
Yeah.
No, sober, you have those same instincts.
No? Like, okay, well, that was different circumstances. You know the circumstances to that one.
I won't say anything.
Yeah.
I won't, say anything that really puts you in a bad light. You're a good boy.
I mean, no, not.
But you're definitely a klepto.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move on. And before we get into our main topic, which is STAX, what's everyone drinking tonight?
Okay, so what is it that I'm starting off with? Rock and Rye? This label's so complicated, I don't even know. It's like some whiskey. Dude, look at this label. It's got words all over it.
Let's see, slow and low, straight rye.
Yeah, okay.
It's a rye.
What are you drinking, Park?
Well, I made sure not to eat it all today, just to build up to this.
And you're perfect. You're on the
Hell yeah. So started with a gin and tonic and ended with a Manhattan, Jesus Christ. Manhattan, which is one of my favorite drinks. And I was definitely a little kind with how much alcohol I gave myself.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
I was a bartender for very short, like maybe 3.5, 4 months. And I always would say I was the worst bartender because people would come up to me and they'd be like, "Give me a Manhattan." And I just kind of like nod my head like, "What's in that?"
I don't even try to order them at bars anymore. I once ordered a Manhattan and the bartender pulled out his phone and tried to look it up. And I'm just like, fuck it, give me a whiskey Coke.
That sounds like
Yeah, you might have had me as a bartender. Not actually, but I'm just drinking Guinness. I'm on my 3rd Guinness. It'll probably be my last.
Hell
I
yeah.
chugged 2 right after my workout, and now I'm just going to sip on this one for the rest of the podcast.
Like I said.
All right, so we're going to get into the history of STAX. and Park here has been ever so kind to provide us with a pretty detailed history. So, Park, take it away.
Oof, putting a lot of pressure on me. I was so much more sober when I wrote this.
Right? That's me every episode.
So, as far as I can tell, early 2000s, maybe earlier than that, I don't know. Good start already.
Yeah?
STAX started off with a competitive deck that was focused a lot around slowing down their opponents and then eventually comboing off. So STAX itself, it originates from this deck called the $4,000 Solution. And that acronym is where we got the name STAX. So, $4KS. I feel like I'm missing probably a T somewhere.
There's a T.
It's the. Rearrange that, you get STAKS. If you look at like elite speak kind of thing, and eventually they shortened that down to STAX. And it was this deck that was focused around slowing down their opponent with a lot of mutual slowdown cards. Spheres of Resistance, Tangle Wire, Smokestacks, and then a Goblin Welder to reset all their like fading effects. And eventually, that deck won a lot of tournaments. People started to adjust the deck. And the entire thing was focused around slowing down their opponent, making them sacrifice everything, and use Meditate, which is weird enchantment that lets you draw cards and skip your own turn, to skip as many turns as possible.
Which is good for you in that case.
Oh yeah, because your opponent has to constantly sacrifice every permanent they have, because your shit doesn't get counters, and you just eventually come back into the game. They have nothing. You sacrifice your Smokestack, your Tangle Wire, your Blood Wounds, your Spheres of Resistance, and you win by just drawing the game out long enough. Your opponent has to discard. They have nothing to work with. So STAX started with this weird competitive deck that changed how people had to play. You have to, I mean, honestly, I don't really know what beats the original STAX decks. I didn't do my research that well.
You did a lot more fucking research than I do. Let me tell you that.
STAX won though.
I literally know nothing about STAX.
It's a tough deck to beat.
So this is going to be education hour for Guy.
The OG deck abused Mishras and all of the other disgusting cards that Wizards printed, as well as Tangle Wire Smokestack, like I said. And then later versions of it started to really incorporate Spheres of Resistance, Blood Moon, cards, Silver Golem, and then Triskelion to win with a Goblin Welder. It was this slow deck that burned people out, made them waste their resources, and they just could do nothing to beat this super oppressive force that just slowly grinded them out. And from that, we get a lot of modern stacks. Because in EDH, stacks are alive and well.
Oh, yeah. So, like, contrary to popular belief, STAX, the name, did not come from the card Smokestack.
No, it's just a happy coincidence.
Yeah, it came from this, like, what'd you call it?
The $4,000 Solution.
Yeah.
Badass name, by the way.
Until you told me, like, what is it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I thought like everybody else, it came from Smokestack.
Smokestack is a very important card to the strategy, but, like, it's not where the name came from.
Yeah, which blew my mind, honestly. It's like, I think a majority of people assume that it's from Smokestack.
I thought STAX was coming from, like, the stack of how the spells resolve.
Because a lot of, like, what STAX wants to do is triggered and activate abilities. They don't really even want to interact with the stack. They just want their shit to resolve and then slowly burn their opponent down.
Alright. We're all learning stuff. Yeah. Alright. Got more for us?
Oh yeah, you know I do.
Okay.
So in EDH, modern EDH, there's a good number of fun STAX decks that people just love to play against. You've got your really notorious couple of commanders. You see Brago, you see Grand Arbiter Gustin IV, you see your Deviri, and then occasionally like a Hakori or like Gadok for sure. All these commanders immediately make you groan when you see them.
Yeah, that's true.
because they represent a play style that stops you from doing what you want to do and have to adapt to what they're doing. And that is my favorite way to play.
It's like, you're not playing your game, you're playing my game.
No, you have to adjust the way that you play a game. You can play your game, but you have to do it a little bit smarter than most people want to do. A lot of people, they just play their decks, they want the straightforward way to play it, and it's boring. Imagine if there's no interaction. And then people just go all out with their silly combos or their little aggressive, like, big creatures. Oh, look at me, I'm so power. But then you play a Sphere of Resistance or two, a couple effects similar to that, an Orb. They'll do pretty good against that. Because people start just complaining and whining. Whoever complains the most, you just hard target.
I'm excited for Chainer, but I'm not excited for Chainer.
You love the idea.
Yeah, I love it in theory.
So STAX, in a lot of a modern way, is less about this... Well, it holds the heart of the original STAX. Jesus Christ. Snacks. Gotta love them snacks. Gotta feed yourself. But STAX is all about denying your opponent their resources they can utilize. And in modern STAX, especially in EDH, it's about slowing your opponents down, slowing everybody down, but you can utilize it better. I'm changing my Toshiro Umezawa deck into a Chainer the Diminished Master deck, which is one of my favorite commanders. But to utilize them the best, you want to include a bit of a STAX path. Something that will make your opponents regret playing against you, but you can abuse better. Infernal Darkness, Contamination, things that stop them from using their ramps, stopping them from using their colors even. That's something you can really just abuse, summoning tokens and then sacrificing all of them until you get Chainer out, and then you can really just make them burn and sack all their creatures, lose all their hand size. It's great.
So, Guy, hearing all this, what do you think?
I know that I have said I don't like people who have fun, and I think this is up my alley, but not almost as much as I want it to be. Because I really like Infect because, you know, you kill people really quickly, but like STAX is more of like a...
It's patient.
Yeah, and I can be about that, but also I do want to like win pretty quickly. So I think there's a little give and take here where I like some parts of it, and then I guess there's nothing I dislike about this, but there's just other ways of like making people feel bad that I like more. Then I'm still intrigued, and I mean, who knows? Maybe by the end of this episode, I might start brewing a STAX deck. Who knows?
So do you know, aside from the like big STAX commanders, the Viri and the Grand Arbiter Augustins that slow everybody down, do you know like the core cards?
No, and I would greatly appreciate you telling me.
Oh, glad. So the biggest two, I'd say, are Winter and Static Orbs.
Yep.
The ones that say, STAX says you can only untap 2 permanents per untap set, every player. So immediately that guy who tapped all of his lands out to play that 8 CMC card, they only get 2 back. It slows them down. Instead of being able to cast a big Timmy spell, they have to wait like 5 turns to do that. He even screws over Mana Rocks. And then you've got Winter Orb, which only lets you untap a single land. And that's real great. So the person who just decided, like, you know, I want to tap out, go all out, go big this turn, they don't get to do anything. And you, as a STAX player, using broken Mana Rocks, you can just tap all your rocks again, untap a single land, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
STAX oftentimes involves abusing a lot of rocks. And that's fine.
Yeah, it's how you get around your own STAX effects. That's how you try to make it asymmetrical, where you're benefiting more than all your other opponents. Yeah.
So after you get the 2 orbs, Spear of Resistance, which says all cards cost 1 more. And there's a ton of cards that follow the same vein of it. You've got cards that say creatures cost 1 more, enchantments cost 2 more, non-artifact cards cost 2 more. You've got a bunch of cards that can all just slow down your opponents. And that's what's important.
Taxing effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's taxes.
Mhm.
It's Grand Arbiter Gustin. All of your opponents have to pay more to do things that they want to do. Meanwhile, you just utilize that, you abuse it, you do everything you can to try to get ahead of your opponents who have to just untap and pass. They don't get to do as much as they want to do, but they have to be very thoughtful about it. They've got cards like Trinisphere, Stranglehold, Thorn of the Animus, Stasis, anything that can really just slow them down. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there abusing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Trinisphere, run a bunch of more expensive cards. Or at least moderately expensive. Things that cost more than 3, you don't have to worry about it, but the Storm player, he has to hate you. Because all of a sudden his 1 mana cantrips, they cost 3. He can't do his crazy stuff anymore.
So for all of you people who are like rolling your eyes at Storm like me, just bring a STAX player.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, just bring a STAX player into the game. Like, that'll solve all the problems.
Because if you play STAX, you probably are abusing Black. Black, where you just get to, have half a dozen different tutors to search out whatever card you want. And, that could be all sorts of just fun cards that make people stop playing or slow down or just stop and think, like, how the hell do I deal with this? Which is why I really love Contamination and Infernal Darkness. For those of you who don't know, Contamination, Infernal Darkness, for relatively cheap costs, you get to turn all mana, everybody's mana created from lands at least, into pure black mana. So that person playing a red, blue, Storm, go crazy deck,
They're fucked.
they can't play a single card. Because how many people run just colorless ways to destroy enchantments?
Nope.
Nah,
No.
it's great.
No. That's why nobody's playing Meteor Golem.
No, but you know what I love? Some Meteor Golem. Even more than that, a little Spine of Ishsaw.
Oh god. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about Spine of Ishsaw loops where you destroy all my permanents.
But maybe we should.
No, we're not doing this. You've done it too many times.
But isn't it educational for people to know?
No.
So STAX, it's viewed as obnoxious to a lot of people. And once people realize that you're playing STAX, you become public enemy number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Expect to play 1v3 if you do STAX.
Yep.
But I personally build my decks expecting people to hard focus me. Because I like to, interrupt people. My colorless deck is all about ramping as hard as I can and then winning the game through locking people out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really good idea to always have that assumption if you were going to build stacks and you're saying, well, I think 3 people are now going to team up against me. Because what if actually none of them team up against you? Well, you still have the pretty aggressive deck that will be prepared just in case.
If none of them team up against you, oh boy. You don't have to be aggressive because they won't be able to do anything.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. What's the point of aggression when you eventually will just combo out and they have to sit there and just understand that, they brought this state upon themselves.
They agreed to play this game with you. Yeah.
And that's why you run Artifact Hate, don't you, Blake?
I need to run more Artifact Hate. That's the answer I have.
There's certain cards you see and you're just like, maybe I shouldn't let that stay. Maybe a certain Metalworker?
Yeah. I still regret not playing Stony Silence the turn before you played Metalworker. I still regret it.
For context, I played a turn 3 Metalworker. Blake looked at me and said, I'm going to let you have 1 turn. Because he had a Stony Silence in hand. Everyone passed does their little thing. And it's just like, what's the worst that Metalworker can do? For those of you who don't know, Metalworker lets you tap, reveal as many artifacts from your hand as you want, and you gain 2 colorless mana for each one. I run a colorless deck. And in that deck, I revealed at least 5 or 6.
No, your entire hand was fucking artifacts. That's what it was.
Irrelevant.
It's entirely relevant.
I gained 14 mana. Maybe 12. gained a lot of mana, played a doubling cube, doubled that, probably got back up to like 18, and then played a Ring of Three Wishes, and then eventually searched out a Paradox Engine, played more little cards, and through Paradox Engine and Metalworker, I eventually just was able to go infinite, get as much mana as I want, turn like 4.
This is turn 4. He like created infinite mana, searched out his entire deck, played his entire deck, swung, and killed everyone with haste.
No. You're wrong.
Am I wrong? I thought that's how you killed everyone.
No.
Okay.
I played Spinavish Saw plus Velkin Ori. So I can play Spinavish Saw at instant speed, which destroys any permanent. And I had enough mana that every time I played Spine, I refreshed more than 7 mana, which is the cost of Spine, destroying everyone's permanents, sack the Spine, which when it hits the grave, it returns to the hand. You replay it, destroy everyone's permanents. So you destroy land by land by land, creatures, everything. And with Vedalken, you can do it at instant speed. So every time anyone plays a single land, you play out your Spine at instant speed, then sack it. It destroys their land that they just played. It returns your hand, and you wait for them to play another card. It locks people out. That's kind of what STAX wants to do. It wants to lock people out from playing the game, and you can abuse that. So that's why it's great.
How does that sound, Guy?
I love it.
Oh, I knew you would.
Like, you've discussed like all the objective truths, like the history of STAX and like common STAX cards, but like now let's actually like get into like the subjective discussion of STAX.
Hit me with it.
Well, you need to scroll down.
Oh,
Yeah. When you talk about STAX, it's like, I think all of us, I mean, at least you and I, can agree that most Commander players hate STAX.
Mhm.
They just, like, hate them. I'm gonna
Makes you grown.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, okay, like, we're looking at STAX, but I'm gonna become, like, a bit more meta here and talk about,
Go for
like,
it, go for
more meta concepts. And it's like, everyone has a different definition of fun. Like, everyone is different for a reason. Like, if everyone in the entire world was the same, like, life would be boring.
Mhm.
And so, like, I'm glad that, like, some people find STAX fun, and I'm glad that some people find STAX annoying, and it's like nobody's wrong in thinking that way. It's just different people find different things fun. Fun is subjective, and I don't think enough people understand that idea. I don't think people realize that fun is a subjective thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so like you kind of then like get into like the social contract of EDH, which is like I'd argue like more people. I don't know. Like, let me know what you think, Park. But like I like think that more people should like you go to an LGS and like you sit down and you just look at people's commanders, and then like based on people's commanders, you know, you can kind of figure out what play styles they're probably playing.
Mhm.
And like when you see like a STAX commander like Grand Arbiter or Augustus,
Of course.
like you're thinking to yourself, that might be like really STAX heavy. So you ask them like, hey, is this like hardcore STAX Grand Arbiter or Augustin? And then they say yes.
Mhm.
And then you can then say like, all right, you know, man, it's like I don't really want to play that type of game right now. I hope you find other players to play that game with. And that's it. It's that simple. Like, I honestly like think more people should do that. Where like, I mean, that also depends on them knowing a certain commander lends itself towards STAX. So that's the difficulty of it. But like, what do you think of that though?
Well, I think back to that one guy who was playing Cabal, that Orzaris commander.
Azorius, yeah.
Azorius, whatever.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? We went and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm playing a STAX deck."
I remember that.
And then everybody hard focused him down.
Yeah.
Made sure he didn't play anything. And then it turns out, like, every card he played was just like,
Weak as shit.
it was just like control cards, but not STAX.
Mhm.
STAX requires making everybody fall at a disadvantage and him abusing it. And he just played a regular, like, Azorius control deck.
Mm-hmm.
And, not Azorius, what Orzhov, Jesus.
Yeah.
But if you announce that you're playing Stack, everybody will focus you, anyone who at least knows what it is, and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And that guy, he wasn't playing a deck that seemed to be refined to play against a 1v3 kind of game.
Mm-hmm. But if it was,
If it was, then we'd be right to focus him.
yeah.
Yeah, completely right.
I don't know.
And if the person playing STAX is complaining about getting focus, then he shouldn't be playing STAX. He should be playing some weird, quiet combo deck that wins out of nowhere.
Yeah. But, like, to the idea of before a game starts, it's like you kind of, like, look at people's commanders and, like, kind of say, I don't want to play against that. Like,
That's totally fine.
yeah, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played against, like, a dozen different kinds of, what's that one? Blue, black, red, milk commander? Draw cards commander? What's his name?
I'm drawing a blank. I honestly have no fucking clue.
Nekasar. I played against so many different next card decks. I played against a Nekasar deck that was focused about reanimation, and it was a really optimized version that killed us all. But, like, when I see Nekasar, I'm just like, oh god. I don't want to play against the same boring wheel stack. It's just, you know what to expect. And with a lot of STAX commanders, you should expect the same. Grand Arbiter Gustin, if you see that, you should be like, I don't want you to play a single card this entire game. I just want to kill you. Because Grand Arbiter is not fun. I can admit
Fun is subjective.
Fun is subjective. Making sure that your opponents don't play anything. But Helm of the Host on Grand Arbiter
Alright.
Augustus.
All right, let me finish up this section, and then we'll kind of get to that more. So, kind of getting back to the whole like social contract of EDH. Okay, I advocate that like if a person wants to play a mechanic, they're allowed to do so.
Totally, nothing stopping them.
Yeah, like the real trick is to the true question is, can you find players who want to play with you? That's the problem. It's like mass land destruction decks, extra turn decks, stacks decks. Like the question isn't should you play those decks. The question is, can you find players who want to play against you?
Well,
like,
I'm sure you're trying to lead into this. I've got a deck that utilizes quite a few number of MLD, mass land destruction, ways to destroy everybody's lands equally.
everyone complains about it. Everyone complains about mass
It
land
is
destruction.
probably the most hated effect in EDH. Stacks, that's one thing. People
like,
destroying your lands.
Lands are sacred. You can't mess
People
with
start screeching about it. They'll start reading about it like to no stop. How else do you counter people who are constantly ramping? The mono green player who has like 20 lands out by like turn 6 or 7. What do? You gotta destroy him. Is that not fair?
I'm with you.
And there are ways that you can abuse it. Play a, Titania. Play a mass land destruction effect. The 6 lands that you had out become 6 5/3s. No one has anything else. You kill one person, kill another person, kill another person. Easy. Everyone's in top deck mode. Stacks kind of can abuse that. I play a Rurik Thar Stacks deck. Saying that alone is really gross. You abuse creatures. You make it so anybody who wants to play any non-creature spells has to take 6 for it.
Every time.
And I can play Rurik out on turn 3 very easily. It's consistent. And then what you do, slow everyone down, be able to tutor out your Kiki Concerts combo, and win.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the deck's focused on. And you slow everyone down, destroy their artifacts, destroy their ramp. If they play a bunch of cards, you stop them from it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not a fair counter to their playstyle? People who want to play pure value decks, what interrupts that? Destroy their artifacts and lands to give them infinite hand size, and make them have to discard down. And all those expensive cards that require them having 10 mana to cast, they're useless now.
Mm-hmm.
It's counterplay. MLD exists for good reason.
So I think this kind of scrolls down to like my very last point. So we're gonna like skip down to like the fact that like Stacks slows down combo decks.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recall the entire meme right now because I'm drunk, but it's like everyone complains about fast combo decks, and then Stacks player, why don't we just play all these Stacks cards? And then everyone's like, oh my god, what? No. And it's like, well, there's your fucking answer. Just slow down the game if you're tired of all these stupid Stacks cards.
Well, traditionally, aggro beats combo beats control beats aggro.
It's like rock, paper, scissors.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
That is the rock, paper, scissors of it all. That's how like a lot of games are designed around. You build a certain playstyle, and then you just want to give a bunch of cards that do that. Cards that can really abuse their exact archetype.
So, Park, what do you say to all those people that are like, I'm playing Magic, I came here to play Magic, and now that you're playing STAX, I can't play anything?
Maybe you should have some more interaction. A lot of these combo players are people who want just their pure value. They don't run next to any like destruction effects. Ways to interact with the board, counter spells, or like their exiles, or their single target removal. Things that are really important for the game. People who run their pure value decks, they just want to play their own game, they want to solitaire, they want to do nothing besides just focus on themselves. And you know what? That's wrong, in my opinion. People should have to have the mentality that they need to interact with everyone else. If you're playing the game just solely to masturbate and just play your own single combo deck, and you want to just play like ramp into draw, into combo, there should be people who say, hey,
No.
I don't want you to do that. I want to counter your spells. I want to make your spells more expensive. And eventually, I want to win by denying you what you want to do. And I think that's a perfectly acceptable playstyle.
Stop jacking off in public.
That's public and decent.
I don't recommend it. Even drunk, I think public masturbation is a very bad idea.
I agree.
And that applies to EDH.
You heard it here, folks. Public masturbation is wrong.
Mm-hmm. You'll end up in the naughty bin for that.
Yeah.
STAX is fine.
Yeah.
STAX is necessary, and because it's so just, hated, people have their,
Okay.
biases.
Well, let me then ask you this. What do you, like, a lot of people who are against STAX often say that they hate STAX because they lock down the board and then they can't then finish the game. That it takes forever for the STAX owner to win the game.
And in a lot of cases, they're right, because you've got that one person who makes you hate mass line destruction. Because there's that one guy who will play an MLD effect and then have nothing to follow it up. They'll just set everyone back to 0, make everyone just go into top deck mode, and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, if you're playing STAX in a non-optimized list, or somebody who isn't going to play it optimized...
You probably shouldn't play it.
No, not at all.
If it's optimized or nothing.
You need to have a focus around it. If you're going to play STAX, make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just like the combo player who spends 20 minutes doing his turn because he doesn't know what he's doing. Talk to you about.
Stop. I just built the deck. I'm learning how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Versus the refined player who plays a hard control combo deck and knows how to do a dozen different tutors in like 3 minutes, making sure people still can play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Personally, one of my least favorite archetypes is extra turn decks, because I find that so boring, because eventually people will run out of ways to interact with them, and then that single person will just be able to do their same combo over and over again. They'll take 10 extra turns, and it's just everyone watching them thinking like, man, I hope he ends this soon.
So is then the answer to that, ask them like, hey, are you sure this deck is optimized to like guaranteed win? Like I'm thinking of Narset, like taking extra turns and dealing combat. Do you then ask them like, can I just scoop and like, can you guarantee me that this is optimized to where like you can continuously take extra turns and deal?
If you're looking towards the future and you're seeing this like combo deck that stops you from doing anything, you can scoop. Scooping has such negative mentality around it. I was playing a game at a local LGS and people were giving me shit for scooping when somebody had a board with that artifact that sends everything and makes it into artifacts, and he had a Memnarch on the board, and he had a way to untap all of his artifacts, and he had a ton of mana ramp. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, I could play some cards, he would steal all of the good ones, and then I would just sit around for the next, like, 10 turns as this guy who has a huge power complex does nothing besides steal our stuff and slowly beat us down.
So what you're saying is that player had like an almost hard lock, but not full hard lock?
Hmm?
And so like because there was that sliver of hope, people were kind of like giving you shit for scooping.
Sliver
where,
of
like
hope?
it's 90, like sliver of hope that like you get past their near hard lock.
It's a bit of hope, and at the same time, it's just the mentality that, like, oh, I don't want to concede. Maybe someone will eventually come with this idea that maybe I can eventually get an advantage. But sometimes it's okay to just say, like, I don't want to keep playing this out. It's okay to say, I concede, let's go to the next one. If someone can get a hard lock fast, or someone can get a hard lock that's so strong, you concede, that's a win con.
Yeah.
You not conceding is silly.
I also think that like instant speed scooping to STAX is different than instant speed scooping to other decks, where it's like
No, totally.
everyone says like don't scoop at instant speed because like you deny that person who worked so hard to build up that stake to get the advantage, like a lifelink effect. Like they're about to gain like 50 plus life. It's like that makes sense. Like let them gain that 50 life and then maybe use it. And
Totally.
but like with STAX, it's
hard to say.
It's arguably different.
If you're not enjoying yourself, that's why you concede. And then, in my opinion, I played my Baral hard control deck maybe like once a week at most. Because I know people don't enjoy it much. I enjoy it. I enjoy making people play differently. I enjoy this completely different playstyle. But at the same time, I'm not going to make people suffer through something they don't want to enjoy. My Baral deck wins a lot more than it loses. Because it's just such a hard control. It stops you from playing. It's not STAX exactly. It doesn't run like the quintessential STAX cards. But it changes how people have to play. And STAX changes how you play.
Yeah, it was.
Instead of just, untapping 2 lands a turn and then slowly eventually getting to a point where you win, you have to say, I have to be really smart about how I use my resources. And that's why STAX is interesting. It's resource denial.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying, if you only have 1 turn to go off, what's the best way that you can do it? And you have to use politics. That's what's so great about EDH. You have politics.
We're going to do an entire other episode on politics.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But if there's that STAX player, just get everyone to agree they're not doing something that you enjoy. And most people will be very vocal about that you're not having fun. And that you become the number 1 NA.
Going back to that scoop kind of, I don't want to say dilemma, but like that situation. Also, I'm totally for if someone wants to scoop and say like a situation like that, but also like just making sure like table talk and you're like, because maybe like you can team up with people, be like, yeah, we can take you down. But if you're like, can we, none of us, all right, let's scoop.
Sometimes you just have to admit defeat. There's nothing wrong with that. The most recent thing that comes to mind, again, there was this hard lock, Memnarch. He has control of the board. Everything is an artifact. At the end of a return, he untaps everything. And I'm playing an artifact-heavy deck. So my options are play Paradox Engine, have him steal it, and then have him constantly untap everything that he's having to tap to steal all of our stuff, and make our game just so much worse. Or I can just sit there, do nothing. And my third option is scoop, go on to the next game, and just go to a different
have
group.
fun in the next game.
Have a lot more likelihood of having fun versus just sitting there and thinking like, wow, I wish I could have fun. I wish I could play my cards. There's just certain points where you're just like, I'm fine with just starting a new game. There's nothing wrong with admitting it.
So what do you think I want to propose an idea that you shouldn't play STAX against people who are playing anything less than semi-competitive. What do you think of that statement?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah?
I very, very rarely play my Rurikthar stacks because I know it's not fun. I know it's tuned to be more competitive than not. And
it's not fun to most people.
No. The deck is designed purely to win, not to really have a ton of fun interactions. It's designed to destroy land, to hard ramp into a card that just stops people from playing their cards unless they want to take 6 damage per card. And it's ridiculous. It's meant to stop people from saying, who are super like braggy or boasty about how like, oh, my deck is so strong, I'll stop you guys from playing their deck. I would love to play my heroic deck against a counterspell deck. Because they'll sit there thinking like, I'd love to counter your spells, but I also don't want to lose like, you know, a seventh of my health. I can do this so many times before I lose. And that's what's interesting about it. It stops people from playing what they originally imagined their deck will do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's good. There are Timmies, Johnnies, and Spikes. You have your Timmies, they'll play the big creatures. You have their Johnnies who do their weird combos. And there's Spikes that want to win.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone has fun doing their own thing. But sometimes you can just say, you know what? I'm not having fun doing your thing.
I don't want to play this.
No, totally.
You do you, I'm gonna do me.
And that's why I bring 6 different decks with me.
To an LGS, right?
Totally.
You, like, when I go to an LGS and we're going to go to one tomorrow, it's like, I bring a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I do. It's like a spectrum of power level. It's like, okay, like, you're gonna do degenerate shit? Okay, I'll play my more interactive deck that slows you the fuck down.
Mm.
If you want to play a super casual, let me whip out Phage.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do I want to see if I either like win quick or go for a grindy game? Kozil. Do I want to go for a deck that's going to consistently get to a lot of burn? I'll go with Omnath. Do I want to slow everyone down, stop them from doing a lot of things and play a lot of mind games? I'll go with Baral. Do I want to just see if I can get everyone else to tap out and then win off of that? Zada. Having a variety in playstyles is one of my favorite things about EDH. And now I'm currently building a deck, Chainer STAX, Chainer Dimension Master, where I'm going to slow everyone else down while taking advantage of that. It's a control deck, but it's a deck that can still win. It's not just going to slow everyone down and stop them from playing, it's going to slow everyone down and then win from it.
So stay tuned for me to tell you about whether or not I like Chainer STAX.
You're going to love it, I know.
Oh, God.
Come on, you don't like discarding a card every time you try to play a spell? It's going to be great, Blake, don't worry. Mind Slicer? Now that's a great card. That's a card that everyone should agree that is just fun. Especially with, you know, a waste not out. You got a lot to look forward to, buddy.
While Blake's crying in the corner, I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping up this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Park, do you have any last notes that you want to add?
No, it's just like, everyone has their own playstyle. If you're going to go for a hard control, a Staxy style, make sure that you can
It's
close it out.
optimized. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to play just a card, or a deck that can play a lot of cards that slow everyone down, make sure you still have your Kiki's Conscripts, have your, what's his name?
Mike and Trek.
Mike and Trikes. Have your things that can just be quick combos to end the game, stop people from suffering, just say, hey, next one, I'll switch with game plan, I'll switch up to a different deck, and that's good. Just don't be a dick about it. Don't slow the game down and just enjoy people being like, I wish I could play.
Yeah. Like, hard lock the game and then just end it, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I hard lock the game, I can still, if I can destroy everyone's lands, I can probably summon an infinite number of 10/10 tokens. It's just how the deck's built to make and built to work.
I'm not sure that you mentioned it when you were looking at the notes, but I think Leovold was one of the STAX players. And Guy, you just recently bought Leovold.
Leovold isn't just STAX. He's banned for a reason, you know it. Yeah, no rebuttal. Wanna know why? Because that card, that commander, can easily stop people from just playing the game. In STAX, it slows everyone down. Leovold literally makes it so you have nothing to do. Fair? An optimized Leovold list?
I totally like see why he's banned.
Mm-hmm.
I just have the card because I like the art, I like the effect, I like the idea of being able to one day have a Leovold deck.
And whatever makes you happy, that's as important.
Guy.
As
Yeah,
long
that's
as
right.
You know the people who play against you will absolutely hate you.
Guy. So, you remember how I told you, like, oh, I played against a few banned cards?
Yeah. And didn't Park once have an Emrakul?
Ooh, this sounds
Do you-
familiar.
Do you remember, Emrakul was in Park's Brawl deck, and that was, honestly, that was one of the, 1 out of 2 games where I, literally got pissed and was like,
Oh,
I need to walk out of this
I
room.
remember.
I was so pissed. That's the
Because-
baddest I've ever gotten.
So imagine, I don't know, a 25 to 30 counterspell deck, hard control Baral deck. The only creature in it is Emrakul, the band Emrakul. Annihilator 6, immune to all colors Emrakul. And you pull that out very easily, and then your deck is all counter spells. So anytime anyone has, a board wipe, you counter it, and you slowly kill them with a giant Emrakul. It's not going to be fun for anyone. Even me, when I played it the very few times that I did, it could consistently get that out. Because Blue has so many disgusting, incident sorcery tutors. You win through making everyone else miserable and hope they, scoop.
You hope they scoop. That's always a good
Because
thing.
if they don't scoop, they're just going to sit there glaring at you, and it's just not fun. Certain stacks, there's certain times where I'd rather scoop than play the game, and there are times that I have scooped.
There
rather
have
than
been,
play
and
that.
I appreciate it.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, I know I could win. I know there's nothing you could do. I'm just going to end the game and let you guys play it out. Totally. If you're playing a hard combo deck that can win turn 4, maybe you should play a weaker deck.
So, Park, thank you very much for that very informative and very delightful stacks lesson. I've learned a lot. Blake, have you learned a lot?
I mean, I just know the dread that is to come.
Calm down.
The anxiety.
Smokestack isn't that bad.
No, it's not that bad. It just means that I have to run a lot more interactive and spot removal decks.
Isn't that bad.
It just means I have to build better decks.
If I had the option for it, I would 100% run Chains of Mephistopheles.
God damn you.
And you know what? That's why the best stacks cards are several hundreds of dollars. So people like me can't just, have easy access to it.
All right, let me know the next time you have $600.
Oh, I will. You'll see it one day.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
All right, peace out.
Peace.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go take a shower, so I can't tell if I'm crying or not.